NBA opening night is just a few months away, and today I have one question for every team that can make or break their 2026 season. We already did the East, now we go to the tougher conference. Death's Row, aka the West. Let's start with the reigning champions. The Oklahoma City Thunder went to the finals and, with the youngest roster ever, won the NBA Finals, setting history not only for their franchise, but really for NBA as a whole. This is a team that laid the blueprint on how to build and win with a team in the second apron era. You have to rely on these young, talented stars to develop and build continuity, and hopefully you can have a MVP level player along the way. This team checked all those boxes, not to mention they're already set up for the future as well. Sam Presti's amazing, but this team is looking to break history, and that's my question for them. Are they up for the task? They have the talent, they have the youth, they now have the experience, but now can they break this 8-year trend of one-and-done NBA Finals winners? We haven't had a repeat champion since the Warriors. Now the Thunder, I think, have the best chance to do it, if any, in that last 8 to 10 years or so. So I'm excited for this team. Now, do I think they're going to win it? I can't spoil that yet, but what I will say, they got a pretty good shot. The Nuggets revamped their roster. They shipped out Michael Porter, bringing back Bruce Brown, and then they brought in Cam Johnson as well. This roster is deeper. They are more balanced around Nikola Jokic, and hopefully going into this year, Nikola Jokic doesn't have to play 46 minutes for this team to win a meaningless Tuesday night game, let alone in a playoff run. This is a team led by Jokic and Jamal Murray that took the champs to 7 games, and they were a far less talented roster. Now they have the talent. So now the question is, for me, how far can Jokic bring this talent? Can they get back to the finals? Can they make another deep playoff run? Or is the title window closed in Denver? Those are some interesting questions, but they got the talent and the best player in the world to get back to where they want to go, which is to win the NBA Finals. Now, it's the third time the charm in Minnesota. Of course, Chris Finch, Anthony Edwards, Rudy Gobert, they've led this organization to 2 straight Western Conference Finals appearances. They have the veteranship, they have the continuity on this roster, but now they're looking to get over the hump. And if this team is not a top 3, top 4 seed by the midseason mark, I wouldn't be shocked if this is the next team like the Nuggets to fire a very good head coach. Of course, Chris Finch, to me, is a borderline top 10 head coach in the game. Anthony Edwards is a bona fide top 10 player. They have the pieces, but if they can't get over the hump, I wouldn't be shocked if they just do something to give this team maybe a boost or a change in some way, shape, or form like the Nuggets did last year. I don't think they should do it, but that might be it. But this year, can they get back to the top of the mountain? Can they finally get over the hump of the Western Conference Finals? I don't know, but that's my question to them, man. What is the change, if you don't see it early, that you have to make to get over the hump for the Minnesota Timberwolves in 2026? Now, if there's one thing you can count on in the NBA, it's the storylines from the big markets, most notably the LA Lakers. Of course, they have LeBron, they have Luka Doncic. Each of them have their own motives and narratives that they're trying to push and trying to cement their legacies in different regards. They have a talented roster. JJ Redick shocked us all as the head coach in year number 1. Does he progress? Does he regress? Or does he plateau? If he doesn't progress, this roster is going to have the same fate as years prior. But there's so many storylines around this LA organization that can some of these younger players and guys that aren't in the spotlight like Luka and LeBron, can they deal with this? A lot of these guys are already used to it. But those are things that we're going to be talking about all season with this team, whether if it's Luka's weight or whether if it's his defensive ability or, hey, LeBron, is it his last season? There's always going to be something to talk about with the Lakers. Now, I apologize for the grainy image. FanDuel apparently doesn't know what HD is. Regardless, for the Houston Rockets, what is going to be Kevin Durant's impact? Because if this is a team that replicates the success from last year and they're a top 3 seed in the Western Conference, is Kevin Durant going to be in the MVP conversations despite being over 35 years old? That's going to be a sight to see. I don't know what the oldest MVP of all time is, but Kevin Durant could be in that conversation because his role is so clear and he is so, I can see such an easy path for Kevin Durant to go into this year and just dominate. He's going to go to this team, be the veteran mouthpiece. He's going to be the go-to scorer and the closer for this team that has defense. They have the playmaking, the coaching. They check all the boxes. Kevin Durant just needs to be himself, and I'm excited to see his impact. But can he be an MVP level player at this point in his career? I got to see. Now, of course, the Warriors shocked the world last year at the midseason mark, bringing in Jimmy Butler. Of course, that didn't go as planned in year number one. They got to the playoffs. Steph Curry was Superman on a nightly basis, and then he goes down with an injury. We're all expecting Jimmy Butler to step up and step out, be that secondary star, aka playoff Jimmy, which we saw for many years in Miami. He just was anything but that, and that's why they ultimately flamed out against the Timberwolves and went home early. This is a roster that's bringing back the same exact talent outside of a guy like Kevon Looney. So going into this year, if Steph Curry has an off night, if he has a bad week, can Jimmy Butler keep the ship steady? Can he be that guy that on occasional nights, Steph doesn't have to drop 25 points? He can drop 18, and this team is still winning games at a high level because Jimmy needs to be that secondary star. I think now he has experience with this roster, with this coaching staff, on how they want to utilize him and maximize his talent. This year should be a different story for Jimmy Butler. I don't know. At least that's my hope for this roster and for Steph Curry at this point in his career. Because if not, I could just see them being a kind of 6, 7, 8 seed like they were last year and flaming out in the first round. Now, outside of the age concerns in Los Angeles, this is a Clippers team that if you are healthy and if you are clicking on all cylinders as you intend to do, can you get out of the first round? That's my question at this point in time. Because when's the last time Kawhi got out of the first round without him being injured? Of course, Paul George got that team far when Kawhi was injured. But when's the last time Kawhi got out of the first round? Was it the bubble? Same can be said about James Harden. I want to see these guys get out of the first round at this point in their careers and at least make a push to winning an NBA Finals, which would be a first for James Harden, and cement the legacy of Kawhi Leonard. So for this older group, you are the oldest roster in the league, but can that veteranship lead to more playoff success? Now, of course, Uncle Drew, Kyrie Irving, has some injuries he has to deal with, and he might not be back all season, but I do think he will be. And with that state of mind, can Anthony Davis and Cooper Flagg, with all the questions around each other and their own motives, can they keep this team afloat? If they can, and Kyrie returns, let's say, early March, and he can ramp his way back up in the tip-top shape before the playoffs, I'm excited, man, because this might be the most dangerous 8, 7 seed we've seen in the play-in era. And I'm not even joking because they have, PJ Washington, Klay Thompson, the two talented bigs, Cooper Flagg and AD with Kyrie returning. They can be special with Jason Kidd, but they need to stay afloat. For Memphis, who fills the Desmond Bane void? Of course, he's been there for years. He's done it all on both ends of the court, but now he's no longer, and you didn't really get a guy that is as talented of a player to fill that void. So it's Ja Morant, it's Jaren Jackson Jr., and Santi Aldama, and of course you have some other veterans on this roster. But who's going to step up? Who's going to be that next Desmond Bane? Is it Santi Aldama, a guy that could be that tertiary scorer? I don't know. He's kind of hooping in Eurobasket right now. Regardless, I don't know who that third guy is going to be. And if you don't get that, Ja Morant and Jaren Jackson have to take it to that next level. Be more aggressive and be more efficient for this team. Otherwise, they're not going to really see different success despite a new roster. Realizing reality can be hard sometimes. And I think Sacramento, they haven't done that despite 10 years of being, mediocre. That hasn't really clicked in their brain yet that they need to change up the direction of this organization because right now you have Zach LaVine, DeMar DeRozan, Domantas Sabonis, Keegan Murray. You're not going to get to the first round of the playoffs, and if you do, you're probably going to win, 1 or 2 games at most? That is your ceiling. And for any organization, I understand there's some out there that just want to be okay on a year in and year out basis. We've heard that before from Pacers players in the past, like Paul George. But this is an organization in the Kings that, unless you just want to be stuck in purgatory for years to come, which it seems like they want to, you got to make a change. You got to trade DeMar. You got to trade LaVine or Sabonis. Get first round picks, draft capital, anything for these guys on your roster, because otherwise you're just going to be okay and far from great. Clarify, my question for the Kings is, how quickly can you realize your actual reality and move off into the next chapter? I mentioned Eurobasket, and Deni Avdija is hooping over there in those qualifying stages. But this is a guy that last year played like a Walmart version of Luka Doncic. He does everything. He's a bigger wing/guard that can handle the rock, run the offense, but can also go out there and fill up the stat sheet. Denny Abdia is the one and only bright spot on this younger Portland roster. He's the only guy that has solidified himself as a future piece going forward. Now, of course, they have other guys like Klingon and Scoot Henderson and Shaden Sharp, but I think if they had to only keep one player, they would choose Denny Abdia. This is a guy that played like a borderline all-star last year. So my question for Portland and Denny, really, what does that next step look like? Can you get up to being an all-star level player despite being on a younger roster? If you can, we're in for a treat as NBA fans because Denny Abdia's progression last year was amazing. If he continues to do that, he's going to be dominant. Now, how fast can this young core really adapt to playing together, and how fast are they going to be playing on the court? Of course, now official head coach change as Greg Popovich has stepped down. It is a new era in San Antonio. Of course, you have the same roster as last year. You added Dylan Harper, another guy that likes to push the pace, but you have so many young and talented ball handlers on this roster, paired with Victor Wembanyama, who should be healthy. How fast is this team going to play? How fast can they progress? How fast can they, grow together and grow their continuity on the court? There's so many things about the San Antonio team that is intriguing. But I think if they're going to make a playoff push, they need to adapt quickly and get off the ground running fast. Because if they can, they're going to be a fun play-in and playoff level team that we're all going to be rooting for. For Phoenix, simply, how many jerseys is Devin Booker going to sell? I already know he's top 5 in the league as far as total jerseys sold among active players, but Devin Booker, he's the only thing in Phoenix to be excited about, and he signed a long-term extension. He is Phoenix, following in his, mentors Kobe Bryant's footsteps. He's loyal to one organization, and you got to respect that in today's day and age. But how many jerseys is this guy going to sell? Because who's really going to go out there and buy a Nick Richards jersey? Similar to the Philadelphia 76ers, for New Orleans, how many games is Zion going to play? Of course, every single year since he's been drafted, when he plays, he's dominant. But when he doesn't, it's really holding this team back from getting to where they should be with all the young talent that they have on this roster. If Zion goes out this year, plays 20 games, and gets hurt, I am going to guarantee that this team trades one of these talented wings. Whether if it's Herb Jones, whether if it's Trey Murphy III, who I would love on my Cleveland Cavaliers, they're going to have to shake something up. Or maybe even DeJounte Murray gets moved off quickly, despite coming back from an injury. If Zion gets hurt again, I think this organization will have the light under their butt to make some kind of a change and progress this team and this organization into a next chapter with Zion not being their star player. And finally, the Utah Jazz. Who steps up and who steps out? You have an influx of young talent on this roster, but who's going to take over? Who's going to be the guy that we look at and say, okay, Utah, you have a lot of young pieces, but this guy is your 1A going forward for years to come? Could it be Ace Bailey? Could it be a variety of young talent on this roster? Who knows? But what I do know is that Ace Bailey, with his, shot-taking, decision-making ability, this is a guy that could very easily be Rookie of the Year this year. And I'm excited to see if Utah will, accept him despite all the backlash this offseason. But that's one big question for every team in the NBA. If you missed the Eastern Conference, check out last week. This week, of course, we did the West. That closes off this series. We've done it for 3 years now, man, and I always love this series because it's something fun to look back on down the line of the season. But that's going to do it, man. NFL is on Thursday this week. Of course, every single week we're going to have weekly NBA, NFL, and fantasy football coverage. So if that interests you, man, support us down below and, of course, follow along the journey.